New Hampshire. So now, the last segment we're going to do before we finish out our episode here is we are going to do a segment called Two Truths and a Lie.
Yes.
So I have been chosen today, since I am the host.
Who chose you?
I chose myself.
I have been chosen.
We didn't think of a name for this segment, so you guys got any ideas?
Two
Two Truths and a Lie is kind of already taken, but what if we just call it True That?
Yeah.
What do we call a lie and two truths?
True That. There you
It's
go.
time for True That.
True That.
You
Yes.
got this. Yeah, you got this.
Okay, so
Let's do this.
I'm going to read all three of these to you, okay? And then I'll give you guys some time after to ask questions about the context.
60 seconds afterwards.
No, we'll
questions?
just see how it goes.
Infinite.
Infinite.
Just see how it goes, We won't go unlimited time, but we want to make sure you guys have a good guess, okay? If you get it correct, you get no prize, but you just get bragging rights that you knew the most about the boss.
Can we ask you questions right after you ask the question? I think
Sure.
it makes it more intense that
Sure,
way.
if you
Yeah.
like.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, let's run
<clears throat> Number one, my favorite basketball player growing up was Charles Barkley, and I once had a full-on conversation with him about T-Mobile.
I like how
Where
they're
at?
short. That's nice.
Where'd you have the conversation about T-Mobile?
This was at the Palace of Auburn Hills in Auburn Hills.
What was the weather like?
Auburn Hills.
I don't know the weather, but it would have been during the basketball season, so I'm assuming it was cold.
Did Charles have hair or no hair?
Charles was bald.
Charles was bald.
What year was it?
The round mound of rebound. This would have been probably 2005. The Pistons were in the playoffs, and Charles was there with the TNT crew covering the NBA Finals.
Oh, so he wasn't playing.
No.
He was already retired at this point.
Yep, he was covering the game with the inside the NBA crew.
Who else was with him that was covering the game?
Actually, Magic Johnson was there. Kenny the Jet Smith, Ernie Johnson.
Where'd you meet him
think that
at?
was the crew.
Where'd you meet him at in the Palace? Was it the restroom?
Section
You're
21.
getting bombarded, Tony.
Yes. So actually, they had like booked a suite to do their coverage in, and I don't know if you ever watch like Inside the NBA, but you always see people behind with the waving like "Hi, Mom," and so I was back there and
Hi, Charles.
and I called my wife. I was one of those guys, and she watched me on TV, and I just yelled to him as he was leaving. I was like, "Hey, Chuck, you're in my five." Chuck. And I was wearing.
What does "you're in my five" mean?
So this is where the T-Mobile comes in.
Okay.
All right, T-Mobile. You guys are killing me here. T-Mobile is.
I've already known if it was a truth or a lie from the beginning.
Okay. T-Mobile is. You think you know?
I do know.
T-Mobile is a phone provider, obviously, and in 2005 you had to pay for minutes. Oh, wow. Right, so you couldn't just get an unlimited plan. You had to pay. The plan was like 500 minutes is like $100 a month. Cell phones were expensive. You were doing all right if you had a cell phone.
Sounds like a third world country you were living in.
So T-Mobile came out with this thing that said you could have, they called it My Five, and you could pick 5 people whose phone numbers you had unlimited call and text. So you had
and
to
you wanted Charles in your 5.
And Charles was like the spokesperson for it. So he was always like in his commercials like, "Hey, who's in your 5? You're in my 5."
Like, what's in your wallet?
Yeah. So I yelled as he was leaving the booth. I just yelled. I was like 20 rows down, like, "Hey, Chuck, you're in my 5." And I had a Chauncey Billups jersey on, but I had a Charles Barkley jersey underneath, and I like lifted it up. And then he called me up. I was like, "Hey, come on up here." So I walked up, and we had a conversation about T-Mobile and about being in the 5. And he said he appreciated the love because I was wearing a Suns jersey, and he hadn't seen one in a while.
So you wore 2 jerseys to the game.
2 jerseys to the game. Any other questions
We
about the
pretty much got
legitimacy?
We'll make our decision after we've heard all 3.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I have had 4 failed businesses before I started AZ.
What 4 businesses?
We Sell It.
For businesses.
It was an eBay store that me and my friend started where we'd sell products on eBay for people.
What'd you sell?
Just whatever
Products.
whatever people needed us to sell. We first started selling fake Jordans, which is a whole story all by itself.
I've heard that one.
Fake me.
Fake stallions.
Fake gingers.
And then I started a business called iTex. That
I remember your smart
was
car.
a phone repair business that was a failure. Before that, we started iCracked, which was the same business with a different name. And then we started a business called Smartridges.
What was that?
I think that was 3.
No, there was We Sell It, I cracked, I text, and Smartridges.
Oh, I thought you said those two were the same.
What was that last one? Like what was it?
Smartridges was refurbished, recycled, remanufactured ink cartridges that we would sell. And so it was a smart way to print, so we called it Smartridges.
That's really hard to say.
We give it. Yeah, people
should have had a better name.
People would ask, "What is Smart Ridges?" So we thought it was a very creative name, but turned out.
And you started a marketing company, huh?
Could be the reason it failed.
That's
yes.
an interesting lie, Tony.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
All right,
Last
next question.
one?
That's number 2.
I think
And
I
number
turned
3
off.
was I once drove all the way to Boston for a Detroit Pistons game, and I got into a fight after the game with some Celtics fans. Had to be escorted out by the police, and I was on the front page of the Detroit News the next day.
Who won the game?
And on the front page of the
Who
Detroit
won the
News.
game? The Pistons won the game, which is partly why I got into a fight, because I was wearing a
So you were just
Chauncey
representing your
Billups.
team. You were like, if anyone wants to fight, I'll fight you.
I was wearing a Chauncey Billups jersey. Boston fans lived up to the bill. They were obnoxious and screaming. I had grandmas cussing at me. I had kids throwing gum and candy at us. And we just were quiet. The Pistons ended up winning the game, which is why everyone was so mad at us. And as we were walking out, I was with a couple of friends, and somebody said something about one of my friend's moms, which he did not take kindly to. So he waited for them as we were trying to walk out. They came out and they pushed him. Or he said, "Hey, why don't you say that to my face?" And then he pushed them. They pushed back. So we had to jump in and help. And then security escorted us out so we didn't get killed because we were outnumbered by a sea of green.
So you didn't win the fight then?
Well, I wouldn't say I lost the fight. Just the fight got broke up.
What was the date on that?
Oh,
The
the
date.
date. I have no idea. We could look up the Detroit Free Press because
Who
I
were-
was on the front page the next day.
Who were your friends at the game with you?
Patrick O'Day, who met me there from Connecticut, and Todd Freilich, who is a deacon in our church.
And whose mom was getting
Todd.
their name thrown around? Todd Freilich's mom.
So Todd,
what's her
Todd-
name?
Todd, if you know Todd, which Zach knows, Todd is
Todd.
he's a big dude, and he actually was
you
wearing.
get in a fight, you want Todd with you.
He was wearing a Pistons jersey, and he had his sleeve up. He has like a barbed wire tattoo on his guns, so it's the wrong guy to pick on.
Yeah.
And Todd was getting impatient. I'm like, just let it go, just let it go. And after the game, some kid that was drunk, he's probably like 20 years old, and Todd was like, "Why don't you come down here and say it to my face?" And the kid's like, "Said it to your mom's face," something like that.
My
so I'm like,
gosh.
"Todd, let's just go." So we go
Yeah.
out in the tunnel, and then we're walking, and I look back, and I'm like, "Where's Todd?" He's standing there waiting for this kid. The kid comes out, and Todd.
My only flaw that I found, Tony, was how does a 20-year-old get drunk at a ball game?
Well, I didn't card him. I don't know his. I don't know his age.
Ooh.
I don't know his age.
All right.
Zach might have caught you there.
Are we ready to take a vote on which one is a lie?
Any other questions?
I think we got it here, man.
Okay. Well, Zach.
Number
I
three.
know. I would say Zach knows me the best, so I want Zach to go last because I feel like his answer
Okay.
will influence your decision.
That's a possibility.
Okay.
That was
So-
the goal.
Yep,
That was the goal.
So Dan, you know me the least.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us what you think is the truth and or which one is
A lot
a
of
lie?
great stories there, let's be honest.
Which one is a lie?
3 great stories.
The last one is a lie.
Which one?
The one about you getting in a fight and it being on the cover of the Detroit Free Press.
Okay. All right.
Which part of it to you was a little bit of a stretch?
All of it.
It was pretty similar to the first story, though.
He was way more confident in that story than either of the other two when I was asking questions.
Too rehearsed.
The only thing that I think that okay, so you flinched on the Smartridges story. So it may be like 3 failed businesses
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
instead of 4, you know.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go with that.
Because then he said
I'm gonna go
that the
with that.
iText and the iCrack were the same business.
Yeah, and I'm well aware of both of those.
Yes.
So I know that's true.
All right.
That part of it, at least.
Yeah.
All right, Zach,
So,
what do you say? You're the OG here.
The last one I have never heard before, and so that's the obvious one. But like Jordan said, the second one was a little bit shaky.
But Tony does
But
repeat.
I've heard of all of them.
Tony does repeat his story. So
I
if you've
do.
never
He
heard the
tells
last,
each story about
That's-
3,000
yeah.
times.
Right.
So he
That's
true.
doesn't
true.
know, you know. So yeah, I would say the last one.
That's why I wanted Zach to go last.
Freilich was not there with you, first of all.
Okay.
And he didn't get in a fight, and he didn't get on the newspaper. So he wanted to be on the newspaper, but he didn't get it. Third one's a lie. I'm going to say that.
All
Lock
right.
it in. Final answer.
Am I ready to reveal?
yes, reveal.
So the only one that got this correct was actually Jordan.
It was the second one?
It was the second one.
Wow.
And Jordan actually was right. So Smartridges is actually a business that still is in operation
It didn't
today.
fail.
And
Interesting.
It didn't fail yet. And it's probably loose to say that iTex failed because we just decided to stop doing it. It wasn't like it wasn't making money. It just my wife got tired of fixing phones.
Yeah.
The loophole was that
we sell it
Smartages
definitely
hasn't failed.
We sell it definitely failed. Yeah, and iTex and iCracked was the same business, just a different name.
Yeah, not bad, Tony. Hey.
But yeah, we
So the fight.
Smartages is
We got to
still-
hear more about the fight now.
Yes,
Wait, so are you actually on the cover of the Detroit Free Press?
yes, we were. The next day,
Todd Freilich was there with you.
Todd
with,
Freilich went with me. So
Cat
Todd,
Taylor was there?
I was laid off, and Todd was for some reason off work, and he was a big Pistons fan. I would have him come over to my house and watch games, and I was like, dude, I got this opportunity. The Pistons were in the playoffs against the Celtics. I'm like, dude, I got this opportunity to go to a Piston. It was the Eastern Conference Final, so the tickets were not cheap, but because we were selling tickets to the games through our eBay store that failed, we had some extra money. I was like, dude, I found tickets for like $200. I'll pay all the gas. I want someone to come with me, but we have to like tomorrow get up and drive to Boston, and the game's like 10 hours away. He's like, yeah, that sounds like a good time. So I had an Antonio McDyess jersey, and I had and I gave it to him, and I wore my Chauncey Billups jersey. And my friend Pat, who had moved to Connecticut, is probably the biggest Pistons fan I know. He met us there with his wife, and literally we get there early. We got called. I was going to add this part to the story, but I thought if I embellish it too much, you guys would read through it. But we actually got asked. We were down by the floor watching the game, and we got asked by their crew, would you guys like to be part of the halftime show? And we're like, oh, sure, why not? We're going to play a game of Lightning on the halftime show. So I'm like, oh, that'd be fun. So they said during the second quarter, come down to this tunnel, and we'll bring you out there. So we get down to the tunnel, and we realize, like, me and Todd both had Pistons jersey on. Everybody else had a Celtics something. And so I'm like, oh, this is a setup. Like, 'cause the Celtics hate the Pistons.
Yeah.
Like, every time there was a timeout, they were playing like old Bad Boys footage, like where Lambeer just pulls Larry Bird to the ground, and their announcer's like, a typical disgusting display by these Detroit Pistons. So like people just start booing, and then they would like pan to the few Pistons fans, like they'd pan over to us, and that's when people were throwing like. Literally, grandmas are like
Oh my gosh.
throwing stuff at us, gum. Like, it was intense, dude. Like, the Boston Garden is no joke. They're loyal fans. So we go down, and we get out, and as soon as we get out, they call us out onto the floor. I mean, just rained booze on us. Like, so I, like, took my Billups jersey, and I'm, like, holding it up, like, turning at the crowd. And they put us in line.
You were loving it.
I was loving it. This was a moment. And, I'm, like, 25 years old, so I'm, like, in my prime, baby. And they put us – I had to be first in line for this Lightning. So Lightning is you line up at the free throw line, and you get to shoot free throws. And then if you miss, So Todd was behind me, and then there was like 10 Celtics fans. So the little leprechaun mascots out there, I learned very quickly the joke was on us because I shoot the ball, and I miss, and immediately the leprechaun starts running at me with silly string. And the fans are going nuts. So I miss. And then someone caught my ball and threw it down to the other end of the court. So I'm chasing the ball. And this little leprechaun's just dousing me with silly string. And the fans are going nuts. And, of course, somebody made it. Me and Todd got out first. That was the plan. They were going to make sure there's no way we won. So the story gets even better.
Yeah.
This is no joke. I couldn't make this stuff up. I go stand off to the side. And right next to me, standing next to me, I look over, and it's Tom Brady. Tom Brady is standing there. And I looked up, and I'm like, holy crap. And of course, he's from Boston at that time. He's at the game. And I was too, chicken to say anything to him. And then we went up to the game.
You were in your prime, though, baby.
I was in my prime, baby. I was trying to think of something, but I didn't really have anything golden. So, and plus, I was covered in silly string. So,
All right, fair enough.
Then we went up to the game. We finished the game out. The Pistons actually pulled off a win, which made everybody extremely mad. Todd was not enjoying the egging. Like he was getting really mad, and I just kept, dude, it's fine. Just calm down. Don't we're outnumbered here. Look around you. And the kid literally, he turns around, and this kid's like just belligerent, yelling stuff at Todd. And I'm like, dude, let's go. And literally, exactly how I said, we walked out. He stands there and waits. And we get 10, 15 feet. I turn around. Where the heck is Todd? Turn around. He's like standing there waiting for this kid. So he walks out with his buddies, and Todd's like, Todd goes, well, you're not so tough now. Why don't you say it again? And the kid says it again. And Todd starts to push this kid, and his buddies come. And Todd's a big dude. He took 3 or 4 guys and pushed them up against the wall. And I'm like, Pat, like, so like, oh man, we gotta go. I'm not a fighter. I'm a lover, baby. And so we go back, and we're like trying to separate it. And I got a kid pushing me, and all of a sudden security comes, and he's like, dude, are you guys nuts? Like, you're gonna get killed. Look around you. So they escort us out. And the reason we were on the Detroit Free Press the next day is because there's a picture of us standing in the crowd, holding up. I made a big sign, and I had it printed. It said, I came all the way from D-Town, and I had the Detroit logo, to watch the Celtics get beat down, and I used the B in the Boston Red Sox logo. So I had holding up that sign, and I made it to the front page of the Detroit Free Press because the Pistons won.
Yeah, not bad. That's a good
Nice.
sign you made there.
And that's one I haven't told you.
Yeah, I was going to say,
That's the
I
more.
don't think I've ever heard
that was
story.
the hardest thing thinking of these things last night because I know I've told Zach everything at least 2 or 3 times.
That's
so.
still
Yeah.
one of the most unbelievable stories I've ever
Yeah.
heard. Like, I met Tom Brady, got put on the cover of the Detroit Free Press, got into a brawl
in Boston.
in Boston.
Well, if that would have happened like now, you guys would have been a meme all over the internet.
I think I should have lead with that when I meet people.
It would have
right?
been.
I don't say-
so
I mean, I was going to
viral.
tell the story that I've been on Ridiculousness. I was going to tell
Yeah.
the story that I was in the World Trade Center on September 10th. All these, I've had
You
some
live a
very
fruitful
I'm
life.
like Forrest Gump.
Your 2 true stories. I mean, I'm like, you're crazy.
I shared.
T. Nash is crazy. He wears 2 jerseys to a
Yes.
basketball game like a weirdo.
How are you not sweating, man?
It gets hot, you know. No, I was telling my boys. I shared these with my sons. I'm like, "Which are you think these things are going to be believable?" And I had the 9/11, or I'm like, "Oh, they'll know that." And they thought because I love basketball, they're going to guess that those 2 are true. But so I was surprised that even Zach didn't get that one. So
Yeah, I've never
but listen,
heard
I have 2 people at least that can corroborate the story. So if you need eyewitnesses,
Well done.
I was depending on you, Zach, and you let me down.
I was depending on myself. So I've heard that you met Brady at that game, but I didn't hear the rest of the stuff.
yeah,
I've never heard the whole
yeah.
Todd Frelick they're getting in a fight with you.
Todd
That's legendary.
Frelick is a deacon in our church and a song leader now. And you wouldn't picture him being that guy. He's got a little bit of a hot temper, though. He's a redhead.
Yeah, I just didn't picture him being a sports
who would
fan,
have
to be
thought?
honest.
Who would
He
have?
loves basketball.
Who would have thought that Smartridges is a success?
I wouldn't say success. I would just say there's still an LLC out there, and we still sell cartridges to a few people.
Is that why we've got a stack of cartridges in the?
That is exactly why.
Oh,
We have like
nice.
3 clients that have a monthly recurring. We send them cartridges and we bill them, and yeah, we'll tell you more about that on another day. But
That's interesting.
yeah, if you need remanufactured cartridges for your ink or toner, call Smartridges. We'll be sure and take care of you. It's not Smart Ridges, it's Smartridges.